brawling style of play. All of their heroes so far very, very strong in those sort of face-to-face confrontations. But they will be coming up against a lot of resistance. Xenial actually getting locked in that we saw last time. A very, very strong global presence.
Yeah, Xenial's going to be there as the tank for the team. Both him and Malok have those slightly longer range repositions. So it'll be interesting to see how those two are going to be joining the fights, whether they're going to be there from the beginning, potentially being a side wave with the split push going on. There is the Nacroft for Kit locked in as the final pick alongside Raz. So they're taking that away from day 5 this time around, but they're hovering the Alice now. So we could get to see what happens when they start playing around the Alice instead. And with the silence, the magic resist shred, the stuns, the shields, the movement speed increases, it's really going to help day 5 move as a unit and get where they need to go significantly faster. This time around, though, it looks like they're going to opt for double punish rather than the solo like we saw in the previous game, where the Alpha Red run triple punish again and try and contest these objectives a little bit more still remains to be seen because they've got time to switch these around.
With the double magic damage carries as well on Zill and L'Oreal, that magic shred is going to be so, so important coming out from Alice. So day 5, definitely not out of this one yet. Maybe they're a bit of a one-trick comp style where they need that Alice on the table in order to perform. Maybe reallocate that ban against them, and you can really sort of just put them on the back foot.
That's what I want to see now. I want to see how this Alice works with day 5, whether they can stack up against Alpha Red, and whether it's good enough to make Alpha Red change their ban strategy and take the Alice away from the next game. I think that's a sign of respect if they can force an Alice ban for game 3, assuming they win this matchup.
Well, they have to win this one first, as you say. Otherwise, they will be 2-0 and be moving down to the losers match. Alpha Red with a chance to come in and move on up to the winners match. We saw yesterday, we saw Pro Army do just that, and they were able to take the 2 matches one after the other in quick 2-0s, I think it was, and just able. Oh no, it was a 2-1 versus MVP, wasn't it, in the first round?
Yes.
And then they went 2-0 to qualify for the quarterfinals. But nonetheless, we are now on into the Arena of Valor here with Alpha Red versus day 5.
Second match of this first best-of-3 series. Quite a convincing win for Alpha Red in the first game. Day 5, they're expecting an invade and they're waiting ready for it. And it looks like Lubu may be the one to go in and check this. He's hovering around very aggressively. Ormar's not in the position. Don't know if they have vision of that just yet.
I think it's more of a, they don't have vision of anyone pushing into the Might Golem side of their jungle, because Malok was stationed there. They didn't see anyone come in. They're like, why aren't they there? What aren't they doing? Okay, I think they're going to be trying to protect their Might Golem. And so it was a very smart decision there to not go in.
As expected, Xenial and Malok are going to be in those side lanes. I imagine they'll stay there for most of the game and only transition through with their ultimates. Cheeky little steal from Alpha Red, I believe, there.
Was that a triple stun from the Alice?
It was, but I think the jungle camp still went over to Alpha Red, so
it's not the end of the world.
Impressive stun, but
yeah,
you get nothing for it.
Yeah, well, still style on them.
All bark, no bite. Style on them.
Style on them.
Style on them would be getting a 5-man stun with one of those.
Okay, fine, but there weren't five people there.
But then it wasn't being styled on, was it?
Okay, fine. We'll wait and see if they can style on this one.
Okay.
They're trying to style on the bot lane. Alpha Red moving down 4 members.
They're trying to...
Showing, but yeah, they just aren't really sort of finding anything so far.
Well, they're just trying to get control on the bottom side of the map. We know that the Abyssal Dragon is about to come up. They are running triple punish. Day 5 are actually running triple punish this time around. So they're looking to potentially pick up this Spirit Sentinel and the immediate spawn and then rotate back round to bottom lane to try and get that Abyssal Dragon.
Taos jumps in and the knockup comes through. Alpha Red so far, absolutely huge amounts of damage going through, but no kills yet. Kit finds one, and now they're going to dive onto GK, find the second, goes over the last hope, and Alpha Red are able to rotate through and win the fight.
Because of the pathing Alpha Red took there when they went up along the river bush instead of going through the jungle, they forced Roro and Athen to take a slightly longer route around that rule to reinforce GK. Because they weren't able to do that, GK couldn't get a shield, couldn't get a stun, couldn't have L'Oreals begin to get the slows down. It was just dangerous for him, and having to be under that tower while he's trying to escape, he was able to get towered out by 4 members of the team just because Roro and GK weren't in a position to support him. Now the Abyssal Dragon is up. We're going to see players start swarming the bottom side of the map to potentially contest that. one thing to note, with the triple punish against the double punish, if it's a straight 50-50 punish battle, Day 5 are probably going to win it, but as we've seen, Alpha Red at the moment, they're having the advantage in these team fights.
Depends on the level, of course. So, as you know, the higher your level, the stronger your presence around these objectives will be.
It's very true, and the level advantage is still going to Alpha Red at this time, but I feel like that third punish will make up for that.
Well, hopefully.
The scaling is not that strong.
No, it's not that strong, is it? But yeah, the fact that these teams are running multiple punishes kind of makes up for that. But Alpha Red go for an engage over the wall, and they find what they're looking for. Alice falls, so no stuns for you. They're just going to back off with the 1 and call it a day.
This is
Day 5.
It's absolutely essential that they dive on that Alice right away, being the squishier target. It's an easy pickup to pick up these squishy supports. So by Alpha Red jumping in there and decimating her early on, it's an easy target, an easy pickup, and with the lack of mobility coming out with someone like Alice, yes, you got a movement speed increase, but you haven't got a blink, you haven't got an immediate teleportation.
Ooh, 2 brawls going on, being seen off in the jungle. Day 5 KJ, you're going to meet your maker. In the top lane, we did have a bit of a skirmish as well, but Athen is trying to go in, trying to find the steal. Athen finds 1, but gets stunned up. Last Hope trying to find the return kill, but isn't going to be able to find anything there. I believe it was Alpha Red that were able to secure that Abyssal Dragon. They will get away, but they did lose a member of their team.
Yeah, Shadow was able to pick that one up in the chaos. He only had to fight against the L'Oreal. His spell rotation provides a greater burst damage initially than what L'Oreal could put out. Preemptive Hissy Fit there to stop Towels from coming in. He has got punished, but he just can't get in range to use it. Spirit Sentinel going over the Day 5.
You can't risk it as well. Roro is there, ready for the stun, and you've got Athen to come in with the damage as well. You know, you're playing Lu Bu, so sure, you're strong, but you're not that strong.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. The Warlord needs time to scale.
But Wise and Towels lingering around this top side. GK, he's a little bit suspicious, so he's going to play it back, go through the jungle. He's waiting around for the might buff to respawn. Towels and Wise, they could capitalize on this, but they just didn't have the information to know he was solo. So he's going to steal away more of these jungle camps. I don't think Day 5 have been able to get that camp at all this game, just because of the pressure being exerted on the top side of the map by Alpha Red. Be able to deny that resource from Day 5 consistently is just going to be creeping up this gold lead that Alpha Red have accumulated for themselves.
And they're trying to accumulate a little bit more with a dive in the bot lane. RF being challenged under the turret, but they are just going to back off of that one. Last Hope ready and waiting in the wings to see what he can gather, but
good luck diving a Xennial without the wave this early on.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to be able to find too much. They're just sort of probably more looking for the poke damage to come through. But Day 5 over in the mid lane will be starting to pressure their own lane.
Well, it looks like they found someone in the river to go ahead and collapse on. Look at this, Alpha Red rotating back up for the supports. But now they've got exposed mid lane outer to try and work on. Raz doesn't have the range to contest with Athen's long range abilities on that tower, so they've got some good chip damage onto that mid lane outer.
Something to revisit later on if they are allowed to get those rotations in. Something that we have seen so far is that the snowball hasn't quite kicked in for Alpha Red. They are obviously
in the bot lane,
but only 2.5k. But Shadow getting caught out versus 4 members. Your teammates are rolling in, and the siphoning coming out from Shadow is super strong, able to keep himself alive and back off of that one without giving over the kill. The rest of his team were ready and waiting, and Day 5 had to back off. But a top lane dive as well comes through. The turret goes down, and now it's a 2 versus 2. Lu Bu will just be shredding straight through these enemies along with Kit to try and find that one. But Athen, here comes L'Oreal, trying to find the damage that he can, but Toaz not quite able to get away. The dash comes through, able to close it down with a 1-for-2 trade. Oh, not quite done yet. The mid lane is going to be a point of contention, but they are just going to move back, finally ending the action.
That's going to be another Abyssal Dragon for Alpha Red. I'm almost certain of it. As you can see, Nakrov moving to position. He's got Ormar and Raz there to help out. I don't think he needs all 3 of them. Day 5 taking what they can by securing that Spirit Sentinel. It's not ideal, but they have to look at what advantages they can get safely because they know they can't win these fights. They're pressuring that mid lane tower again as Alpha Red secure the bottom one again. So now they're in range. KJ moving in with the auto attack, but here's Shadow from the side.
Oh, they're just going to absolutely shred down Roro, and again, Alice gets picked off early before the fight. Malok trying to jump in, trying to find that knockup, but they did manage to escape the zone just in time.
And yet again, Alice caught out by herself, decimated by the team, remove the squishier target, remove all that utility coming out of her kit, And there's no chance for Day 5 to come back into it, especially considering they've got such a disadvantage at the moment. 0 towers to 3, no Abyssal Dragons, a 4K gold deficit.
Yeah, and GK dead as well. They're just going to get picked out in the jungle, and now Alpha Red are starting to ramp it up, and it's the same story as last game, just a little bit later on. They're starting to put the pedal to the metal. I just want to highlight that, you know, both Nakrov and Lubu have picked up those spears, which means that any armor that Day 5 are going to be building is just going to get shredded really, really quickly by both of those team members. And they don't really have an answer to it at the moment. As long as they keep picking up Roro early on, they're just going to go down.
Well, very aggressive moves by KJ, and it's going to be punished straight away, forcing out the Hissy Fit. Not ideal for Day 5. But he had to do that to stop any further initiation. Silence there to stop the rollover of CC and damage coming out from the side of Alpha Red.
Just pushing in. Both teams now have chip damage on the outer turrets. Both teams assigning someone to those side lanes as well to try and just push them out as much as they can, and give that sort of threatening position.
When you've got a well-farmed, and he's got a couple of kills under his belt, Nakrov, no one's going to be able to go there and solo challenge him in that side lane. So putting Nakrov in that lane to allow him to split push is going to force multiple men to go and answer to it, or at least keep the Zenial under pressure in the lane. Yes, he has that gap closer, but if you can force him to just be playing under his turret consistently and denying him more farm and denying him more failures.
Being found in the jungle, Zenial jumps in, and a little bit of a healing comes through, and it's going to save his life. And Day 5 able to turn it around, just about escaping. They are going to get a kill for nothing.
It's first rung on the ladder of their comeback. Still miles to go to get back into this game to a point where they can contest at the 5v5. As the game progresses further on, items levels, they begin to plateau. That's when the real comeback can come into play for Day 5. Because they try and take a 5v5 team fight at the moment, the way they've been playing, with the disadvantages they have, I don't see them winning it. So they need to try and be creative about how to get back into the game. Speaking of creativity, Alpha Red going for that Dark Slayer. Meanwhile, initiation in the mid lane.
Day 5 trying to find the 2 versus 5, and it's going well so far. All the siphoning in the world can't help you when you have 5 members bearing down on you, but the Dark Slayer does go over to Alpha Red, so 1 kill for Dark Slayer. At the moment it's worth. Will Day 5 be able to capitalize? They're trying to collapse onto Kit. In that top lane, they're charging through, but the mobility on Nakrov just a little bit too strong so far. Roro gets caught out, half HP already.
There's the stun.
Taken down so low, the stun isn't quite enough to catch anyone, and just 1 kill in the trade, but they're going to go for the re-engage. Alpha Red finding the picks. There goes GK. Tao's on the front line as well. They're going to find RF to follow.
Dive.
Roro caught out as well, and KJ, you are not going to find yourself in a happy place right now. Alpha Red pushing straight on through, the Dark Slayer buff on top of that as well. They're just going to push this one in and maybe looking for another short game.
Well, they think they can out-tank the tower and fight through the resistances, but Afford is causing some serious issues for them to be looking to do that.
Yeah, he's able to get 1 kill, just back them off slightly, and the 4 kills for Alpha Red, not quite enough to pick them up that turret over on the top lane.
That siege minion can finish off the tower.
Yeah, it's going to finish it off, and Athen is going to take him down very low, but Kit has to get out of there. Backup was on its way for Day 5. But meanwhile, in the mid lane, they finally get that outer turret.
Athen, the only player on Day 5 to have not died yet. That's only matched by Kit on the side of Alpha Red, so he's been able to keep himself relatively safe in this game. And all the kills and most of the gold is being directed towards Athen at this point. So if you can play around the Hissy a little bit more, there is potential for turnaround in these fights, but Alpha Red are just shutting everything down before the fight's going to happen. Immediately, they're forcing Roro and RF so far back. Here comes Athen from the side, but they're still in retreat because the rest of Alpha Red are still in that bot lane. And I think that's the lane they're trying to target at the moment. They put Malak and Raz to force push the wave into that high ground tower, and they're keeping up the pressure in mid to try and force Day 5 to answer them and stay there. Meanwhile, Nakrov, he's going to be pressuring that lane. And we saw MVP doing this yesterday, keeping all 3 lanes pressured simultaneously so they can pick and choose which one they want to strike at when Day 5 step out of line.
And they step out of line right underneath their own turret. Shadow finds the first kill, and the rest of them are just going to follow straight on in. Roro trying his best to keep his team alive, but they're not going to be able to do anything as Alpha Red continue to roll straight on through. 3 kills so far. Athen out of position, trying to find a pick off onto Wise. Kit as well, very, very low. Finds one, tries to turn it around, dashing straight through this fight time and time again. Roro still alive as well to back him up, and they have to back off. Alpha Red not quite able to find those final 2 kills.
This is the bottom high ground tower for them, though. They thought, you know, Athen was greeding for that kill, try and take down an additional member, and now he's in a difficult spot. Hissy Fit into the combo. Look at the shred as Athen takes down Taos.
They are going to go through. Last Hope has to back off. You can't be out of position there, but that's the 3rd high ground turret. No matter how many enemies you kill, you still have that huge threat. All of your lanes pushing in, and the amount of super minions that will start coming through.
You've now got the double super minions running in the mid lane, so much pressure is going to be exerted down the middle of the map that Day 5 are going to have to answer. There's a potential for backdoor with the likes of Kit. If the waves are allowed to reach that core, the resistances are shredded. You have focus on the minions, not yourself, and you can just go to town on the core. This is very dangerous for Day 5, sitting at a 10k deficit. Abyssal Dragon's about to come up, but at this point in the game, it will not change the impact too much. It's going to be a negligible advantage coming out for it. The real question is, can Alpha Red finish this game before the Darkslayer comes up? And will Day 5 be able or be in a position to contest them for it?
Both Lubu and Nakroth now on Alpha Red will be dealing percentage health damage, percentage health remaining damage off those items, and they are going to be able to just shred down RF on that tanky Xenial. But just going to catch up on some objectives, just pick up a little bit more gold, try and extend their lead. I mean, you can see looking at the item grid down below, they're sort of building into their 6th item pretty much across the board on Alpha Red, whereas over on Day 5, you're sort of looking at finishing off your 5th item. If they can hold on for 5 more minutes or so, they will start to reach that point where they're coming even on these items and able to sort of stand up in the fight. But at the moment, Alpha Red have the advantage. Looks like they're trying to press it home.
This will be the final fight for Day 5 if they lose it. And with the pressure coming in from all 3 of these lanes, Alpha Red might not even need to contest it, but there is Shadow diving straight into the fight.
Day 5 getting jumped straight on in, but they find the first kill in the fight, and Athen is starting to run wild. Here go Alpha Red. Their health bars are disappearing as L'Oreal shreds straight through them.
But there's minions on the core. Alice has to retreat.
But there's minions on the core, as you say. Roro has to go over and deal with those, but that is the first fight, the first foot in the door for Day 5 to come back into this one.
Kit's still alive, trying to roam away. Alice has put a band-aid on the bleeding of their core for now. There's no coming back from the position they're in. They have to wipe out Alpha Red and be in a position where they can push these waves back out. With only 1 tower being taken so far, they're going to really struggle to end the game in 1 fight. It's going to take multiple team fight victories to finish this off, considering that all the pressure is still being exerted onto them. 25 seconds on that Darkslayer to return. Alpha Red needs to de-push these waves immediately, get them as far out as they can. Sorry, Day 5 needs to de-push these waves immediately, get them as far out as they can, and look to contest this Darkslayer. The way these fights are going at the moment, if Day 5 can get that Darkslayer, that will be the advantage they need to convincingly win the fights, as long as they play correctly and play around the Alice and L'Oreal.
They're not in position. Alpha Red should just be able to burst this one down. They had to push out that bottom lane wave, and that's just going to give Alpha Red the opportunity to burst this down. And this late in the game, you're not going to be able to stop it.
It's not only that as well, they don't have the confidence to go and contest this, purely because they don't have the information around it. They could all charge toward that Darkslayer, and Alpha Red could be hiding in a bush somewhere in one of the jungles, and they can let them take the Darkslayer while they just run and end the game at their core. So I understand the hesitation to pull this off from Day 5. It's just a shame, though, because I feel like this advantage from the Darkslayer will compensate for the damage that Athen is able to output on the enemy team, along with the help of Roro.
Full build starting to come in. I'm pretty sure that's the Nakroth full build already coming on through, as well as Lubu able to find all the items they need. So now Day 5 against the Darkslayer buffed Alpha Red. They won the last fight.
You've got to remember, it's 30% damage increase coming on that buff. Not only that, you've got the regen as well. So these fights are elongated, which, to be honest, they haven't been. It plays into the advantage of Alpha Red. And when you got a Malok and an Ormar on the team, these high resistance heroes, that health regen and the mana regen is really going to help these guys out.
They're looking for it. They're looking for the final fight. Shadow engaged a little bit too early last time, and Alpha Red paid the price, but...
They just got to spam ping.
Yeah.
Push the minion wave. Push the minion wave. That's all you got to do. Work around the fact you've got double supers in the mid lane. You've got super minions crashing in.
Wise jumping in, able to push back 3. Alpha Red trying to capitalize as well, but they're just going to go straight for the core, and that's it. They are just going to get taken down. Alpha Red take the series 2-0. Seems like day 5 weren't even on the Arena of Valor at this point.
Well, at the end there, Nacroft completely negated the fight, didn't want to go in and be a part of the damage. He instead just went around the back of day 5 and just jumped onto the core. And when the super minions were in range, you've got the resistance shred. They're going to be tanking up the tower. It's easy pickings for a full damage 6-item Nacroft. So it's not surprising. I feel as though if day 5 could have held off Alpha Red a little bit longer and not allowed them to take that many advantages in the early before they fully switched on, they would have been in a better position to try and contest the Darkslayer, try and contest more of these fights. But when they started to get back into this game, they'd already lost all their towers and had an exposed core. Immediately, they've got this dead weight on their team, the burden and responsibility of pushing out these waves and having to protect their core.
Yeah, so, you know, maybe that's something that people will be looking at Alpha Red and saying, do you know what, that might be a bit of their weakness, because that late game team fight, you saw they mispositioned. They weren't able to get the picks that they needed, and they were a little bit overzealous in their play, which it resulted in them losing the team fight, which could have resulted in the Darkslayer if the minion waves had been a little bit different. Maybe if day 5 hadn't given up so much advantage in the early game, they could have done a little bit more, but unfortunately they weren't able to do so, and Alpha Red were able to take it home.
I still think there's hope for day 5. I think, especially in the late game, you saw a lot of potential. But we're going to find out how the rest of Group B stacks up. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have ST going up against their opponents in the first Group B match.